Welcome back to Mic Check. You got me, your host, Amira. I've never referred to myself as a host of this show, so that felt good. So you got me, Amira. Nigel's in the building.
What's up?
And then we got Savannah, one of our guests today, or our guest today. We're going to get into introducing Savannah a little bit. I just want to give y'all a couple of announcements for the kids. So if you are interested in putting your children into piano and vocal lessons, our Louisville's lovely Chanson Calhoun has Enchanted. I think that's her company. But she is offering piano and vocal lessons to the kids. So for beginners piano, ages 3 and up, and then for vocal lessons, ages 5 and up. If you would like to get in touch with Chanson, please email enchantedlouisville@gmail.com. I don't think that's in our ticker of information, so just rewind this back. enchantedlouisville@gmail.com for more information. And then next, as y'all know, I've been talking about Shirts with a Purpose over at the Newburgh Community Center, where kids can go learn how to create a design, press the shirt, and do all the cool stuff with that. Whenever you show up, ask for Miss Jessica. Just a reminder, this program is going to be going on until the end of May. It's for kids between 14 and 18. And then at the end of the program, the kids will all be treated to a trip to the Roots Museum. So make sure, again, that you go, ask for Miss Jessica. The time is between 2:30 to 4 o'clock p.m. Go get a shirt made. Mm-hmm. All right. I wish I could get a shirt made, but that's whatever. I'm well out of the age range. Definitely miss kids' age because we got to pay bills now.
We're going to make some shirts.
Listen to Nigel. I love it. We're going to make some shirts. All right, y'all. So for today's topic, because we very much felt that this aligns with our, aligns with Dove's initiatives to policing alternatives, mental health, and community safety, but also aligns with Mic Check when it comes to support of our kids. We are focusing today, our conversation's focusing on how police violence affects reproductive justice. And we have no other than Savannah who's going to be here talking with us about it. Couldn't think of nobody else who I wanted to join in with this conversation. Actually, it was Savannah's idea. And I was like, girl, that's a great topic. So we're going to do that. So Savannah, go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Hi, my name's Savannah Tribuna. I use she, her pronouns. I am the Abortion Support Fund Director at Kentucky Health Justice Network. We support Kentuckians statewide with direct support to abortion access and gender-affirming care. And I'm also an accountability board member for Dove.
Yes, she is. Absolutely. Savannah's doing so much for the community, and we appreciate you. I personally appreciate you. And Nigel will learn to appreciate you at the end of this message.
Sure.
I'm only saying that because they just met. You know what I'm saying? We also were supposed to have another guest with us today. Katima Smith-Willis was supposed to be with us. Unfortunately, she had lost her father before we started recording this episode. And we just want to send her all the love and hugs and positive energy to her and her family as they get through this rough time. It was very unexpected, but we love and support her. If you're friends with her on Facebook, look for any ways that you can to support her. If she has anything posted, we have to uplift each other, especially going through times like losing a parent. So we love you, Katima. Shout out to you. A little bit about Katima, y'all. She is a freelancer when it comes to social justice efforts. She has hosted many rallies, put on many events with some big names and people in there as well. You know what I'm saying? She also has done a lot of work with the ACLU and with the Coalition Breaking Barriers, which is also under ACLU. Also, she is a part of the Kentucky Black Bourbon Society because bourbon is her jam. She loves saying that. Bourbon's my jam. Like, she loves saying that. She needs to put that on her business card. But send her some bourbon or something. We love you, Katima, and we're gonna do this again. Don't you worry, because she was definitely concerned. Like, I'm gonna miss Saturday, and that's okay because we're gonna do this again. All right, so getting a little bit into our topic. Before we do, let's do some check-ins. Let's check in. Nigel, How you doing over there?
I'm doing cool. Just finished school this
Uh-huh.
semester, so happy about that.
Right, no
Finished
more
my
finals?
Nope.
No more finals. Whew,
Yes,
we know
ma'am.
someone's having a good weekend. For the most part. And you moved into your place?
Oh, for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nigel shared with us just a moment ago that he moved in and he's right next to U of L, which is the next school that he's going to be going to
That's
continue his education.
That's right.
So you better go and shut them down
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
the correct way with the diploma. Like, don't do nothing else crazy, okay?
I'm gonna try.
Unless you let us in the deets first,
I'm
okay?
sure.
Okay, good. Okay. Savannah, how are you doing?
Good. Yeah.
Good, yeah, as lightly as possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
I know the language. I know what it is.
yeah, we've been very busy. So yeah, I mean, I think that the work continues. So yeah.
That's that part. The work continues, y'all. And that's so bad. Not like bad like that, but like it shouldn't. Like we shouldn't have to be doing all this in the first place. But it's our duty to fight for our freedom. So,
and we take care of each other.
And we take care of each other. That's the part. And we still have our own personal lives on top of that. So it's just too much.
Yeah.
And we have to pay bills and pay $8 for eggs. It's too much.
I'm telling you.
Jeez, it's too much. Anytime I put anything in my savings, I'm like, let's forget about the savings. Like, oh, you know how the Men in Black have the
little eraser thing? Yeah.
Every time I'm like, forget you have money. Because I don't want to touch it at all. Ooh-wee. Well, I'm glad that everyone is okay and well enough to show up and be in this space with us. We try to make this real lighthearted and fun and cool or whatever.
How you doing?
So yeah, our topic, like I mentioned.
How are you doing?
How
Me?
You doing? Yeah.
Oh, did you ask me?
Yeah, my bad.
Oh, see, I'm not used to people asking me how I'm doing.
Now you good.
I'm okay as well. Today was a decent day. I definitely made sure I took care of myself. I've been hiking a lot lately, so I hiked at a really dope trail I liked. It was a good little workout. Yes, the incline was ridiculous. I was just like, please let it end. Like that was the longest ever, but I made it and it was worth it because you end up near a lake. So it worked out. It worked out. And I got to see my baby nephews this morning.
Hey.
I don't get to see them a lot because like throughout the week at first, kind of, but then like like you said, the work, like still busy and working and stuff. So I'm doing okay. I feel like personally also I'm doing better as well because that was like a storm on its own. So thanks for asking. I appreciate that. Ooh wee. After this, I want to go see Super Mario Brothers, but I might not. I don't know. I might go back to my couch. Because why not? All right. So getting into our topic. Again, thank y'all for that. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Getting into our topic, police violence and how it affects reproductive justice. So somebody's probably wondering, I'm looking at my notes if I keep looking down. The question of the matter is, what is reproductive justice? What is considered that? We would have had Katima here to also help us with that question, but we have Savannah and a little bit of myself, a little bit.
Oh, you do reproductive justice work.
Oh, stop. Savannah. Not like Savannah, though. I just got here.
No.
Savannah been knew that SCOTUS was happening or whatever with those, with them trying to get in front of our abortion rights or whatever. I was like, what? This is a problem? Like, I had no clue. And then everyone's telling me, like, yeah, we've been working on this for a few years. I'm like, oh, wow. And that's when I knew we are in trouble in very many ways. Like, there's people trying to bring back the Stone Age.
Oh, yeah.
And I really, it's like I kind of knew, like, there's blockers for, like, progressive thinking and lifestyles and such, or just living, just really being treated equally. Or in an equitable manner. But I just didn't know it was this deep, like people really like are trying to take away rights. Like, okay, anyways, yeah, that's when I was shook. Like, what? This is a problem? And that was my introduction to reproductive justice. Unfortunately, it was a terrible introduction. I was so emotional that whole day. So Savannah, can you tell us a little bit about reproductive justice?
For sure. So I just want to amplify Sister Song's definition. Sister Song is a women of color-led reproductive justice org based in Atlanta. And so they define reproductive justice as the human right to maintain personal bodily autonomy, to have children, to not have children, and to parent the children we have in safe and sustainable communities. So, like I said, what you do is reproductive justice work. And I mean, I think that reproductive justice as a whole is very expansive. You know, it's looking at the historical context, people's living conditions, and bodily autonomy at the root of it.
Oh, at the root, though. Definitely at the root. When it comes to body autonomy, that the whole concept right there, I feel a lot of education. I feel needs to happen around there for everyone, everywhere, to include just the regular, you know, community out here. Like something as simple as one of my friends said, "Oh, I'm not going to get my baby's ears pierced until they, like, if that's something they want. I'm going to respect her autonomy." And I was just like, oh, that's not something necessarily that I ever have heard to be respected, like, especially when it comes to children and stuff. So I definitely feel you when it comes to the root. And I think that's just an overall understanding of what it means to really govern yourself, police yourself, to include your bodies and stuff like that. Shout out to Sister Song. I think that was a great definition. I've done a little bit of work with sisters. I guess you're right. Whatever. I'm out here.
Yeah.
I've done some work with Sister Song, and I really appreciate the things that they do. I went to a conference of theirs in Dallas called Let's Talk About Sex.
I'm so jealous.
They had some of the cast members of, what's that show? P-Valley.
Oh, snap.
Because apparently they, the script or whatever, what I haven't watched because I don't watch seasons of things because I don't like to get hooked. But they've had some episodes already written when it, like, addressing repro work and reproductive justice. So that was pretty interesting, and they brought them in there for a panel. So we're running out a little bit of time on this segment. Don't go anywhere. We have part 2 to our question of what is reproductive justice, and we'll get right back. Stay there.
The Plug Network is ever expanding. Subscribe to our YouTube page and hit the notification bell for all updates. Thank you, and stay plugged in.
Years of experience with natural, carefully handcrafted products makes PK Powders your go-to for all skincare needs. Owned and operated by licensed esthetician Precious Kendall, PK Powders provides a myriad of solutions to keep you looking good, smelling great, and above all, maintain your skin's health. Located 1930 Bishop Lane, Suite 101, Louisville, Kentucky, right inside the Waters and Towers building. The play is PK.
Welcome back to Mic Check. We are talking about reproductive justice, and we're going to tap in a little bit to the side of where police violence definitely affects that area of social justice. I do want to touch on a little bit. I have in my notes to kind of chat a little bit about the history. Savannah, I don't know. I would like to know what you know, like, as far as like when or how this work got started in general in our society. I would like to know that.
Yeah, that's a good question. So, I mean, I think particularly women of color have always been fighting for reproductive justice since like the inception of the world. I mean, you know, I think that there's always been threats to bodily autonomy.
Yeah.
And like even, you know, what we know as the US started with colonization, which threatens people's bodily autonomy with like mass genocide and stripping away indigenous culture and all of these things. And then of course, like moving into slavery, of course, was a huge threat to bodily autonomy, especially for Black women. But the term was defined in 1994 by a group of Black women that later formed Sister Song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dope.
Yeah.
Did not see. Yeah. This is mostly a listen and learn episode. You know what I'm saying? Okay, go on, Savannah.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, so like they right before they went to this big conference to decide that like family planning and taking care of your family is a human right globally. They had come together to make this definition, and then they formed the Women of African Descent for Reproductive Justice, and then that later turned into Sister Song as we know it today.
Oh, that is so awesome.
Yeah.
So now y'all know the history behind the term of reproductive justice. And I think that's so awesome. It's just absolutely crazy how like at the pillar in the beginning of a lot of these movements, Black women were there, or femme presenting people were there. You know what I'm saying? So it's just crazy that like there's so many expectations on us already to save the world. And like we also have to save the world. Oh, Nigel, take notes. Okay.
I got you.
Give women a break, please. I'm just
I'm not
He's like, okay, I got you.
Listen and learn, shoot.
See, Nigel got it. Nigel's on it, y'all.
And that was also like reproductive justice was kind of like a counter to the mainstream reproductive rights movement, because that was always just centering cis, able-bodied, wealthy white women.
Yeah.
You know, it was focused more on legality and, you know, solely like abortion access and birth control access. But it left out every other aspect of oppression that women of color, Black women face. So that's why they spliced reproductive rights with social justice.
Okay.
It made reproductive justice.
Made reproductive justice.
Yeah.
Just like that. Because we do what we want. Essentially, that's the case. So Savannah, after explaining a little bit about the background here, what you were working on, or your role and your title, why choose this area to work?
That's a good question. I mean, I think that reproductive justice touches on every aspect of human life and, you know, folks' communities. So I think in general, personally for me, I think that we all have a responsibility to work towards collective liberation.
Yeah.
That takes all of us. And so we're all in the struggle together.
True. Yeah.
You know, reproductive health in general is one of the most stigmatized medical, or it in general health.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what appealed to me working in reproductive justice, is especially in a state like Kentucky that's so disenfranchised, and we have such poor maternal health outcomes.
Don't we have the highest mortality rate?
So we're third in the country.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's up there. Ooh. Who's number one? Do you know?
I think I want to say it's Alabama, but I don't know if that's correct. So look that up.
Look it up. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly.
Yeah. But I mean, the U.S. as a whole, like being like a very wealthy country, 60% of maternal deaths are preventable. 60%. So we were talking about this before the show actually started and we started recording. My introduction into RJ work was a documentary called Aftershock that followed two mothers that died after giving birth. One of the mothers, her name is Shimoni, and the other one, her name is Amber. Both young. One was 30. I think the other was in her 20s. And was mentioning, like with Amber, her platelet count was getting low. So preventable is such as the nurses could have just read the paperwork on each of her doctor's visits to be able to tell that the platelet count is low. So things like that, you know, there's of course 100%, a million other things as well, but just something as simple as you're not even choosing to really provide care and tend to your Black patients. Preventable. So what do you think that is? Do you think that's just a state of, again, more control? Because also with Aftershock, learning a little bit about where gynecology was quote unquote born, who the father of gynecology is, which was a straight white man, midwifery, how it got taken over, how women could not become doctors. So to me, of course, it all screams just control. We want control of women's bodies. That's it. And of course, we're going to use Black people to experiment on how we can control women's bodies or how we can study to do that. So yeah, us being one of the wealthiest countries in the world, that has to just be because of control, right? Oh yeah, and it's medical racism. Yeah, absolutely.
Let's add that in next, and racism.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's what got me into the work. I feel like I'm pretty like I'm pulled everywhere. I'm just like, that's wrong. Get me in there. Like,
And
that directly affects me too, because that
Yeah.
makes me not want to. I've learned the differences now between a birthing center and the hospital, and I definitely don't want the treatment as in a hospital. And I definitely don't want to go to a hospital knowing there are birth centers and there's not birth centers here because they don't want competing money. Just the most. I don't want to get off on a tangent. The answer is control and racism, like, you know, oppression as a whole. Okay, we answered my question. Thank you again, Savannah, like I said, for getting in there and doing the work. I thought you were going to say, this work chose me. And I was down for that. You're like, no, I would like to just be like a dancer on a cruise. But that didn't choose me. So, so I want to ask, so this is a question both for Savannah and Nigel. I want to get into the police violence portion of this. So what is considered police violence? What kind of experiences, if you're comfortable to share, would explain police violence or describe that as such?
For me, I would say police violence is any acts of unnecessary conduct that police create,
right?
Especially like in communities that are, I guess, considered like I guess found like minorities. So like if you look in like say the West End or whatever, police, you know, there's a lot of police presence in like African American communities or so. So you know, when they just go in and they, you know, disrupt you know, people's lives, or they do things that are unnecessary just because they can or whatever like that, is violence in itself. Because, you know, people, you know, have PTSD. You know, people are used to like, you know, different types of violences. So it disrupts like, you know, a whole community just by like the presence. So anything more than that or whatever is just acts of violence, especially if it's unnecessary.
Yeah. And for the most part, they know it. It's like what you said, because they could get away with it because they can't take advantage.
For sure.
I think that the very presence of police is violence.
Violent. I definitely feel that, especially with the history of like, we all know why cops. We're all created, like the whole police department. We know why they were created, to basically regulate Black folks, if not just kill them off. So definitely what you said, PTSD, the trigger. So just the presence of, and these days now we are asking, when I'm going through a crisis, I don't want a cop to show up. The debate against that is, oh, you don't want cops, so you don't deserve to be helped. Or what I'm telling you is I'm going to be triggered, and cops are not equipped to de-escalate in any manner. So Savannah, what about this? What is the connection here with police violence and repro justice?
That's a great question. So just breaking down the framework, I just have a few examples. So for the right to have children, you know, we talked through text about how during the protests, the police were throwing out tear gas, which is an abortifacient. So pregnant people can lose their pregnancies if they're tear gassed.
Oh, wow.
Another thing is incarceration. You know, people can't have babies if they're behind bars, and police are a conduit to the prison industrial complex. So the right to not have children, obviously abortion is incredibly criminalized, especially in Kentucky right now. But even before abortion became illegal in Kentucky, all across the country, pregnancy outcomes are often criminalized, and can lead to really terrible situations. Like just across the river, Purvi Patel, who is an Indian American woman, lost her pregnancy, and she was sentenced to 22 years in prison for feticide because they chose to use a law that was supposed to protect pregnant people against her.
That's crazy.
And then the third tenet being the right to parent the children you have in safe and sustainable communities. Exactly what Nigel was talking about. Cops coming into people's neighborhoods and traumatizing them. There's a whole list of examples that I could pull from, but I mean, I think you really said it best. You know, also, obviously with police killings, like not only could the person being killed be a parent, but they always have parents. Like George Floyd was calling out his mother's name when he was killed. And so that has formed its own organization called Mothers Against Police Brutality, which I think is like the perfect connection between RJ and police violence. But, you know, I think that Audre Lorde said, you know, we can't vote single issue because we're not single issue people.
Right. We sure are not.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think that's like reproductive justice really hits on like every aspect of somebody's life. And I think, especially in America, how cops are so militarized, you know, they are hitting on every aspect of somebody's life,
right?
Which is just inherently violent.
That's right.
Very well said, Savannah. I truly appreciate that, and I appreciate your examples. We're going to take a quick break, y'all, and then go into our next segment in our next part of our conversation. Don't go anywhere. Thank you.
The Plug Network is ever expanding. Subscribe to our YouTube page and hit the notification bell for all updates. Thank you, and stay plugged in.
Years of experience with natural, carefully handcrafted products makes PK Powders your go-to for all skincare needs. Owned and operated by licensed esthetician Precious Kentel, PK Powders provides a myriad of solutions to keep you looking good, smelling great, and above all, maintain your skin's health. Located 1930 Bishop Lane, Suite 101, Louisville, Kentucky, right inside the Waters and Towers building. The play is PK.
Welcome back to Mic Check.
Hey.
We left off with Savannah really going in on these people, okay? And that's exactly what I needed. An example to the tear gas, because we were just chatting about that now. I just was like, and they know this. They know that these types of chemicals abort pregnancies, mess with a woman's reproductive system in general. When I was tear gassed, I didn't even realize this till someone said something, but I didn't have a period that month. So that was really like they know that, like they know that. And it's crazy because I didn't know. And I think that all definitely adds to the violence aspect and them not necessarily caring because their goal is to oppress. Their goal is to stop. Their goal is to, you know, not promote any growth. You know what I'm saying? So, Savannah, you were kind of about to get into something when I said, I feel like in other countries, like the thing is on purpose. Like these chemicals are used on purpose to abort babies.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, look at the demographic of people protesting. You were talking about earlier about how nurses, you know, neglect Black mothers.
Right.
And that can result in death. I mean, I think it's targeted racism in the reproductive health aspect of it. For sure.
Definitely agree. And I feel that way. We have so much work to do. So I want to know, y'all usually know how I do this. We get into the problem a little bit. Then I want to know if there are any resources or any ways to help support, sift, or cushion any of these kinds of matters. So Savannah, are there any measures or solution to combating police violence in the RJ world? Any way to prevent any bad outcomes? Any ways, like, so looking at prevention and then looking reactionary, like are there examples of any of these kinds of solutions that are out there?
Yeah. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is abolition. But
how could it not?
I mean, that's the easy answer. And it's also the easiest to do, really, if we like reimagine society, like in community safety. I think the world would be a much safer place. In terms of prevention, I think that like it's important that we talk about police very candidly, but also like cop-like behavior is so insidious. Like you're talking about like medical providers can be cops. You know, CPS, the child welfare system acts like cops.
Yeah.
You know, so I think the first thing is to like really interrogate like these different cop-like behaviors. And one thing, don't be a cop yourself.
Don't do it. There are other things you can do.
But also, you know, get with your community and find other ways to support each other that don't have to involve these like violent means. And then, yeah, the solution, like, I really can't say it any more clear. It's abolition.
Yeah.
Like, police exist to be violent, to control people, to protect capital. We don't need them. And all they do is cause more harm in people's communities.
Definitely so. Look at Nigel. He said round of applause. Nigel, how do you feel about that? What Savannah just said?
I feel like it's very much true. Like if we can govern ourselves, I think I talked about this like on the last session, but if like community can like, you know, govern like ourselves or so, like we can be better off like without the police presence.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's spot on. That's why I had to do a little clap.
I definitely feel the same. It sucks because it feels like, well, it doesn't feel like it. It sucks because the work is back on to the community. So, and of course we have a lot of healing just there, just to be able to fully come together and work together in bigger masses and such to create these systems in which we don't need the police. We don't necessarily need these hospitals. We don't need these entities or corporations that are really just out here for our money. We don't need Juneteenth because we still don't have the day off. Okay, that was random. But still.
Hey, but it's real though. It's real.
Juneteenth. I mean, it's not like Black people are being pardoned from work. Oh, day off today. Like, I haven't heard that yet. So I just felt like we don't need Juneteenth. It's just a way for them to keep making t-shirts and taking more of our money. Whatever. Screw it. These festivals and stuff like that. Whatever. It was better when it wasn't a national holiday. No, I'm just playing. But I definitely feel and agree with that. Dove is focusing big time, of course, on creating these policing alternatives. The best way, as Savannah said, from our opinion and perspective, is abolition. Don't be a cop. When you said that, I was like, yeah, don't be a cop. I don't know. Again, I was just about to say, like, I hate again that it's on us, but it is on us, and it's a lot of work that we're going to have to dedicate ourselves to in order to definitely distance the cops from getting so personal in our medical world, in our mental health world. They don't belong there. And so many things the city could do also. Like Dove, we worked on the mobile crisis diversion and trying to get more mental health professionals involved into these emergency calls or 911 calls, again, as opposed to cops. Because, of course, we have mothers that are out there going through postpartum. And that can look real dark for some mothers to the point of wanting to kill their own children. We have mothers who have depression before that. I don't know, is there a like prepartum kind of thing? I don't know nothing about.
I think that's just life.
That's just life. That's what Savannah said. I feel that is just life, man. But even during those moments, don't necessarily need a cop involved because, as we know, they will turn to violence. So the fact that, of course, we have to do these kinds of programs in order to get this kind of data to prove, like, hey, we need more mental health resources. We need more people for the people, and not necessarily the government in these spaces, the cops in these spaces. Their goal, of course, is just to get home by any means. And unfortunately, I feel like that's, of course, at the risk of Black people, the risk of people, and of course, to include that, pregnant people. So good comments, everyone. I really appreciate that. I want to go ahead and dive a little bit into our next segment a little bit because we still have a little bit of time, so we're going to touch on it some. Because I feel like with this work, so I mentioned to y'all I watched Aftershock, and I was just in peril. Like, I was just crying. I was angry, and it sucks getting mad at stuff that's like been a thing. You're just, you know, in your head, you're like, oh, you're late. But like, I was mad. I was feeling all the things. And I can't imagine. Savannah does say that I do this work, but I feel that Savannah and Katima, who we would have had on here, have had so many more experiences and time and legwork in this area. So I want to know how they take care of themselves, because I feel like it's a crisis every day almost. And the reality hits every day that somebody probably just died in the hospital after giving birth to their child. There's probably, you know, a father going home or a family now, you know, having to get together, whatever support that they need because they just lost their, I don't know, their mother, their daughter, their niece, I don't know. So Savannah, I would like to know, how do you handle your self-care, or how do you handle, and I know self-care is like, the realization came to me that we treat self-care like I took a shower today, but really those are just like everyday things, like just human life, you know what I'm saying, that is just hard to maintain or balance out trying to maneuver through this world. But I guess self-care is whatever you have to make it be, you know what I'm saying? How do you take care of yourself when those dark days hit, whether it's a BS day at the Capitol, whether it's
every day at the Capitol.
Every day. Session was killing me this year, and I had never gone, so I really was a mess. So yeah, when it comes to anything like that, any laws that you're like, why are we doing this? Like, it does not make sense to abolish abortion. Like, how do you take care of yourself when you go through these days?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think it's really important that we all, you know, invest in nourish each other, because it's not sustainable to do this work if you don't, you know, people burn out so easily because everything is on fire, you know, it's everything
on fire.
Which I think is so important about cross-movement collaboration, because like we all have the same struggle, you know, there's oppressive systems that are impacting us in different ways, but we are all being impacted.
What's that, intersectionality?
Right, exactly. And so like we need to focus on, you know, lifting each other up instead of, you know, being siloed, you know, in this one field or this one field, which is why I think it's so important that like RJ leaders really start working towards police abolition, housing crises, you know, whatever, you know, that's the point. But anyway, to answer your question, I'm sorry, I went on a tangent there.
You're all good. I'm here for the tangents.
I think that like for me, self-care has to be intentional. I liked how you said like, it's, you know, taking a shower is like something that like you should do to maintain your health. You know? But I think like just being intentional about like your boundaries, making sure that you have space for you to be a person, find what gives you joy and do that intentionally. And like, y'all, this world sucks, you know?
Sucks.
But I have to have hope, because with the dismantling comes rebuilding. And that's the best part. So to me, like Miriam Kaba, who's a prison abolition activist, she says, hope is a discipline. You have to practice it every day. And that's how I take care of myself.
That's a good point. That's good. I really like that. So your self-care is through making sure and being intentional with hope. I was like making sure, I didn't finish that sentence, but making sure you are intentional about that practice. That's a great mindset. There are definitely things, I guess, that I feel that you have to practice, but I never would think that hope as a mindset or as a, you know what I'm saying? Like something to look forward to. I don't know.
For sure.
That's great. Take that and write that down. Run her 10% if you ever use it on social media.
No, that's Miriam Kaba, not me.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, she probably already got her 10%. Don't go anywhere. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back to Mic Check.
The Plug Network is ever expanding. Subscribe to our YouTube page and hit the notification bell for all updates. Thank you, and stay plugged in.
Years of experience with natural, carefully handcrafted products makes PK Powders your go-to for all skincare needs. Owned and operated by licensed esthetician Precious Kentel, PK Powders provides a myriad of solutions to keep you looking good, smelling great, and above all, maintain your skin's health. Located 1930 Bishop Lane, Suite 101, Louisville, Kentucky, right inside the Watterson Towers building. The play is PK.
Welcome back. I don't know what I'm doing. I should be sad, really, because this is our last segment of our show, Mic Check, which means the end of our conversation is going to be coming soon. But we can always do a reminder later if you don't feel like watching this again. Or Savannah, I really could just bring you in for whatever, I guess. That's really it. Just Savannah and I were going to part ways. And, while I'm going to see Nigel next week, I mean, whatever, It's not whatever, but I only see Savannah every once a month type thing. Maybe not that, I don't know. I'm always looking forward to seeing Nigel. Let me get that clear right now on the camera. So Savannah asked me when we was off camera, Amira, how do you self-care? And I was like, great question. And I'm going to take some time to answer that. And then also Nigel's going to answer that as well. Because I think it's important, I guess, to hear those different ways on how we all take care of each other. Like this whole hope tip, I'm definitely taking that. Like if that's something I could just write down, I have hope, daily aspiration, affirmation, whatever. So the way I self-care, I feel that many of the things I have been doing lately have really just been a part of maintaining life, like going to bed on time, making sure that I get my 7 to 8 hours of sleep, making sure that I go and take walks and stuff. But I don't know necessarily, I guess for me, that could be under self-care because those are things I definitely weren't doing before or wasn't doing before. And I feel better doing them now. If something stressful is going on, kudos to myself. I have backed away from libations as a coping mechanism. I mean, some here and there, whatever. But a lot of times I go for a walk, I go for a hike, or I go to sleep. My 3 go-tos, I don't know. That's been the best way that I've been able to handle dark days when it comes to any of this work. And that works for me lately. I guess I've kind of also been a little creative, like tapping into my creative side a little bit more, and have found something I want to do this summer. I want to attend, I think this is self-care because like you said, the world sucks. It's crap every day. But I have decided that I want to go to all kids games all summer. I don't care if it's soccer, golf, I don't care. Baseball, give me all the kids games. Like if you have nieces and nephews, let me know the schedule because that's where I want to be. I want to see some joy. I want to see some kids just being kids because again, like you said, this world sucks. So I think that's going to be a good way to take care of myself this summer because that gives me hope too. I definitely want some children soon. So I know I'm going to be even more wrapped up into this healthcare system a little bit more whenever that happens. So in the meantime, I want to just look towards the good. And then, as there's bad things, I just want the best outcome. And that gives me hope for that. So that is self-care and what I plan to do for self-care this summer. I got to take it season by season because I don't know. I don't know what's going to be in the fall. It might just be under the covers. I don't really know. Nigel, how do you take care of yourself during your dark days?
I've kind of just got in the habit of doing so too. I've kind of been a weird space myself, but it's just about being intentional. I think you said it earlier, or somebody said it earlier. Just being intentional, with what you do. So each morning, I try to wake up decent time. I try to get some good sleep.
Yeah.
If not, then
it's over.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap. But try to wake up. Try to exercise a little bit, just to get my mind together. So maybe take a cold shower, because once I leave the house, I'm out for the whole day or so.
Oh, okay,
so it's if my morning doesn't go how it needs to or whatever,
it
my
could
whole day.
Skew the whole rest of your day.
Right.
Okay.
So I just try to be intentional with that, and then also just going when I go home, spending some time with my family, my little sisters. Because like I definitely felt you when you said like, you know, this like seeing like youth and let youth be youth.
Yeah.
Because like that is important. Like I see like my little sister and like she's trying to grow up too quick, and I'm like, no, like just enjoy being a kid.
Right, because you
Please.
you gonna miss it later. I'm gonna tell you.
Swear. So just enjoying like my time and being in the moments. And so I'm not trying to rush.
That's good.
Yeah, because I be having too much stuff, and then I get this email, get this text. I'm like, I got to be here at this time and stuff like that. So just being in the moment, being intentional about just being present. And so
that's good. Being in the moment's a good thing. I think that's one of the things that takes practice, Savannah, to your point of like practicing healthy mindsets and habits and stuff. Being in the moment is definitely a good one. You can't function necessarily or be as productive or as calm as you can be when there's 50 million things in your head. And you're just like, chill out, girl. You not home to worry about the dishes. Like, they just gonna be there in dish. Just stay here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that, you know, stuff you can't fix in that moment. So, like, why are you worrying about that? The dishes was just a very, like, light example. But I'll be worrying about I don't be worried about no dishes. What? Dishes sit there. I don't care. It's the bills I'll be worrying about. Like, oh, Lord, you gotta pay that. So, Savannah, I want to close out this conversation to ask you about some tips for anybody who thinks that they want to join the world of work in reproductive justice. What kind of tips do you have for these workers?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think first and foremost, follow the leadership of Black and brown women, trans people, young folks, those that are most directly impacted by reproductive injustice, especially if you look like me. But I mean, I think also like on that note, you know, being prepared to like experience some discomfort, you know? I think that like white supremacy is so insidious that like when you're getting a critique, it can feel like an attack, and that just doesn't help the work. So for me, it's like discomfort is and I'm quoting my coworker Oliver here, but like when you're in discomfort, we love Oliver. There's an opportunity for growth, and that's like such an exciting thing. So I think also too, like talk to people who have stories, you know, talk to people who have had abortions, talk to people who have had poor, you know, experiences with pregnancy, talk to people who are mothers or parents, you know, and, you know, use the language that they use. I think that's so important that we don't speak for people that experience the oppression. We amplify and we learn and we become co-conspirators, you know? And I think also just like acknowledging that like this isn't charity, this is solidarity. We're here, you know,
I like that.
It's a mutuality, you know, we're here together, and we can only save us. These systems are not designed to take care of anybody
at all.
You know?
Savannah said it right. We got us.
We got us, you know. And then I think the last thing, and then I'll stop talking, is
you're good.
You know, acknowledging all those intersections. So again, like thinking about how economic justice reflects to somebody's, you know, reproductive health, police violence. All of these different things all impact each other. There's kind of a reason behind that.
Kind of. Yeah.
I wonder what.
I wonder what that reason could be.
But again, we're not single issue people, you know? So we have to work together if we're ever going to get free.
I love that. That was a perfect touche. A little mark right there. Savannah is 100% correct. We have to work together, y'all. Follow the proper leadership, know when to listen, know when to speak, know who to speak to, know who to work on whoever's behalf. Of course, these are things that you would learn along the way. But I think these are some great tips and expectations. What are some organizations that are kind of dedicated to this work, or, you know, some organizations that you approve of?
So Kentucky Health Justice Network.
Of course. Top gun, top tier. Okay.
I love Sister Song.
Mhm.
Sister Love is also a great organization focused on gun violence specifically. My mind's drawing a blank.
That's okay.
Dove. I mean, I think that there's, like I said,
It's all full circle.
it's all full circle.
Intersectional. So
there's some great mutual aid collectives.
Mhm.
I love Eastern Kentucky Mutual Aid Collective.
Oh,
They're
nice,
great.
nice. Good.
Keeping it down for our folks in Eastern Kentucky. Yeah.
Awesome. Again, rewind this if you need to take note of some of these organizations. Please reach out, volunteer. We need all the resources, from volunteering to donations to whatever necessary. If you're able to share your experiences, reach out as well to these organizations. If you need some kind of coaching to find whatever bravery to testify during session, we would love that as well. Because I don't know where they be getting some of their people talking about the opposition. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where they be getting some of these people, but
not from Kentucky.
Not from Kentucky. And I'm just like, we talking about Kentucky, but okay, it's fine. Well, thank you so much, Savannah, for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We've come to the end of our conversation. Can you tell the people again where they can find you? If they want to contact you, if they want to reach out to volunteer or whatever with KHJN.
Yeah, for sure. So to contact me professionally, I'm gonna
because we both of that. Okay.
I'm gonna plug our organization's social handles, which is just at Kentucky Health Justice on all platforms. And then if you want to follow my bullshit, it's at FemGaylord on Twitter usually.
On Twitter? Oh, you be tweeting.
That's the bad place.
That's the one. Yes. That's the one that needs the most disruption, honestly. Make sure you go find and follow Kentucky Health Justice Network. Make sure you also go follow. I said that right? Kentucky Health Justice. Ooh, y'all had to practice. Ways ago,
people say
actually.
It very like Kentucky Justice Health.
Yeah, and you're just like, okay, kind of the same. Nigel, same thing.
Yeah.
Well, not the same thing, y'all. Kentucky Health Justice Network. Boom. I
Get it
practiced. Right. Nigel, tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me on any social media at KHXNZVSage. And if you would like to email me, my email is nmblac01@outlook.com.
Period. And you can find me, Amira, by emailing me at amira@dovedelegates.com. Make sure you follow us on all platforms. That's just Dove Delegates. Make sure you rewind back to see those announcements of the organizations or the programs that are taking place here in the city for your kids. And make sure you come back next week for another episode of Mic Check. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's all say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
See y'all next week.
The Plug Network is ever expanding. Subscribe to our YouTube page and hit the notification bell for all updates. Thank you and stay plugged in.
Years of experience with natural, carefully handcrafted products makes PK Powders your go-to for all skincare needs. Owned and operated by licensed esthetician Precious Kendall, PK Powders provides a myriad of solutions to keep you looking good, smelling great, and above all, maintain your skin's health. Located 1930 Bishop Lane, Suite 101, Louisville, Kentucky, right inside the Waters and Towers building. The play is PK.